And some young folk in the church, they go out of their way to prove to people that they're not saved. They do things on purpose, trying to be somebody they know they're not. But the people they're trying to impress is the same folk that want to see them fall. You're trying to impress people that don't care nothing about you. And you going out of your way to prove to them that you ain't no church boy. I ain't a church boy. Listen, I can cuss. I ain't a church boy. I'll go grab such and such. I'll do this. Look, I'm not a church boy. Give me the joint. I'm not a church boy. I'll snort it. I'm not a church boy. I'll sneak out the house. I'll be at the jam tonight. I'll be at the party. I'm not a church. Stop thinking I'm a church girl. Doing things you know are wrong, just to prove to somebody you down. Giving up something that's precious to you just to prove to some nappy-headed boy that you do love him and you will do anything that he tells you to do. You've got your mindset wrong. And once he get what he been after, you just another chicken head. You got to be the same young person at the church. You got to go to school and be that same young person. If you're a leader in the church, you got to go to school and lead. You got to let folk talk, but keep doing what God told you to do. Because some of them talking about you headed to the graveyard. They're headed to the jailhouse. Man, I'm not saved. I just go up there because my parents go up there. Yeah, but that ain't what you say to God when you want him to bless what you put your hand to do. That ain't what you say to him when you need his help. Pastor, you don't understand. Yes, I do. Sometimes it's easier just to flow with the current than it is to try to swim upstream. Sometimes it's easy just to go along with stuff that you know ain't right because you know it's going to be difficult to swim against the current, to go against what's popular, to go against what everybody doing, to preach against. Most of you give in because you say it's too difficult, Pastor, to be different. And I'd rather just try to fit in than have folk talk about me. I'd rather just try to fit in, Pastor, than to be the only one different on the job. You don't know how it feels to be the only one that's different, Pastor. The only one that's reading the word. The only one that's praying. Oh, yes, I do. But you have to know how to stand by yourself. You have to know how to stand so that somebody else that desire to take a stand but don't have the courage will look at you and say, if she can do it, then I can do it. If she can take a stand, then I can take a stand. If their family will hold up standards, then my family can hold up. See, that's what's wrong with the modern day church. The modern day church is doing everything it can to fit in with the world, to go along with everything that folks say is right, but they know it's wrong. They find it too hard to go against what's popular. You have to be willing to do what's not popular. You have to be willing to live in a way that, yeah, they're going to laugh at you. Yeah, they're going to call you this, that, and other. They may call you a holy roller. They may tell you going up there ain't doing you no good. They may put you down. But I tell you, if you just keep hanging in there, sooner or later, they're going to look at you and they're going to see that it paid off. It paid off with her being faithful. It paid off with them hanging in there despite all that they were going through. I am preaching to somebody. Don't you continue to go with what's popular. Don't you continue to just flow downstream because that's what's easy to do. No, God is telling you to bend your back up straight, walk up tall, be glad to be saved, be glad to be somebody that's living holy, be glad to be somebody that's living what they preach. Ain't just told the Bible, but I'm living this. I'm striving to do right. I'm not perfect, but I'm not playing either. You have to be careful who you pattern yourself after. When you pattern yourself after somebody, You need to look at that person's lifestyle. Watch this. You know the reason some of us won't do things that God wants us to do? Because we looking at certain people and they're not doing it, so we ain't gonna do it. Some of you don't get excited in church unless your friend get excited. You ain't gonna move unless your wife move. If your wife don't move, you ain't gonna move. When God get ready to bless you, he calling you out to be different. He calling you out so you will stand out in the crowd. He wants you to stand out at the school. He wants you to stand out in your family. Not try to be like your carnal-minded brother. I know it's tough. You try to teach some folk to do things that's right, that'll benefit them, but they'll kick it, they'll reject it because of who they got their eye on. You be surprised folk in this church, a holiness church, but they worship sinners. No, you ain't heard the words and don't have no problem doing so. Listen to music that they know don't glorify God, but don't have no problem with it. Listen, we even have to be careful about so-called gospel artists who pattern everything they do after a sinner and let you know it in their song, and then you come in the church trying to sing that mess. No. Do you know who he patterns himself after? You don't read this choir? Some of you think you don't think nothing wrong with listening to something that does not glorify God. Pastor, I don't see nothing wrong with it. I know you don't. That's how carnally minded you are. You done set your mind on the flesh. And so you do what sinners do. Folk look at your life and the life of a sinner and they don't see no different except you go to church. And it's sure not bad when you don't really know people. You just know a character they play. And you idolize that character as if that character is real. That's not real. That's a script he or she is playing. And you are trying to be them in real life. Why you do such and such? I don't know. Let me show you why you do it. Look who started it. Why you dressing like that now? Pastor, that's how they dress now. Who is they? See, we'll get to the point to where we'll know the scriptures say we ought to dress modestly. But when we like something or we pattern ourselves after something that isn't modest, and now all of a sudden what's popular in the world is not popular up in the church, even though it's wrong. You say it's fashionable, but if the fashion is wrong, you got to trash the fashion. You got to throw it away, even if you done bought stuff. You have to be to the point to where you put it on. You say, this don't look right. This is not presentable. This is not holy. And you bought it knowing no refund. You got to so love God that you say, I'm got to trash it. I can't wear it. Listen, and folk know this stuff. Folk know this about some of us. They know we want to be like certain folk. And these folk carnally minded. It's sad when you hear a child say, mama just trying to be like. And I ain't gonna, don't come to me and ask me whether it's your child, because you ain't gonna go home and whoop them for telling the truth. So I'm not gonna tell you. The nerve you go up there to your pastor. I'm like, don't you ever go up to your pastor. Don't you ever even speak to pastor. I'm gonna whoop your butt. You go back up there and pastor face. Why? She told on you, you pretender. She told on you, you hypocrite. Pastor, you think you know my daddy. My daddy want to be just like so-and-so. Then I look at so-and-so and I say, no wonder he's so jacked, his mind so messed up. Look at Matthew 7. When I'm done today, I'm running out. I'm getting out of here. Matthew 7:13. Enter by the narrow gate. For wide is the gate. Broad is the way. Need to be broad because a whole lot of folk traveling it. Enter by the narrow gate. Wide is the gate. Broad is the way that leads to destruction. To hell. And there are many who go in by it. But narrow is the gate. Difficult is the way which leads to life. Watch, and there are few who find it. There are more folk going to hell than it is going to heaven, according to what Jesus just said. And the majority of folk who are going to end up in hell will be there because of who they chose to follow. That's when you get saved, the scripture tells you, come out from amongst them. You can't be like them no more. You used to be that way, but you have to die to that. You're not that man anymore. And sometimes you got to get away from people who don't want to receive your new identity. You got to get away from people who still want to call you by nicknames of things that bring up the past and stuff you used to do. You better have boldness to tell them, my name ain't Little Joe no more. Don't call me Little Joe. My name is Brother Joseph. You got to do it. Listen, church, don't be deceived. Folk dying every day going to hell because they can't get on the narrow gate. See, when you set your mind on the flesh, you will hear a word like this. Instead of receiving it, instead of changing your mind, you reject the word. You reject it. You reject it. Tell your neighbor, remember. Paul and pastor talking to so-called saints. Some of you right now sitting in this sanctuary with a jacked up mind, not because of some sinner you hanging with, but because of some carnal-minded saint you done got close to. Wondering why you so down and out. Look at your new best friend. She lived there. See, when you set your mind according to the flesh, you'll have alts with people and keep walking by them like you don't see them. If you live according to the spirit, you go get that thing right. You'll go sit down and talk. Oh, yeah, boy, they quiet now. Look around. Look around at the one look like they got a lemon shoved right in their mouth. That's them. They are the one right now. Identify yourself. Got the nerve to dislike another brother or sister over a rumor. See, the word come. But when you done set your mind to live according to the flesh, some folk want to be down. And you try to talk to them, they don't even want to hear it. The nerve of you to come up in the church and get so sensitive. You went to the club for years knowing folk talked about you. Went to the club fighting, but the moment you go through some adversity, you skip in church. You didn't skip the club. I told you everybody up in here ain't saved. Then I warned you last week there are assassins in the church. Then I warned you there are snipers in the church.